So we're back out doing another Guru's Live match, this time at a brand new venue once again, Bells Mill Fishery down in Kidderminster. Hopefully I'll be able to give you a few tips about how I would go about approaching a new venue and see how I get the best out of my day. Right, that's the all in. I'm going to start on 6mm pellets. Just because they're not massive 6mm, they're more like a 5mm. Just want to see what sort of indications and responses I get from this. I've got about 5 foot on this short line, and then I'm going to feed a shallow line, and then probably towards the second half of the match I'm going to feed my right hand margin. I don't like that left hand margin, it's a little bit too deep. I feel like I could probably just catch them short, to be honest, if that's the case. But one of my mates comes down here, Gav, and he won the match the other week, shallow, with £250. So shallow fishing could be good. My only worry is that there's a lad there on peg 1. If he goes out long, he could cut me off a little bit. It looks like one of them pegs where the short pole and the edges, you know, the fish are going to be in the corner. That's great, that's where you're going to catch them close to you. But I'm fishing a little bit to my right. I've got a little bit of space to my right. 2 spare pegs that way. You know, we've got a bit of room along this right hand side. So hopefully that shallow line might come good. Can't really go too long. I'm only fishing like 13 metres. I'll just watch for any signs or swirls on that. So there, little indication straight away. Apparently there's lots of silvers in here as well, like skimmers and stuff, so we'll play it by ear, see how we go. The lad on peg 1 there, he's chucked out to iron, he's got one first chuck. Probably didn't even get a chance to sink his line. That's the only gutting thing about today, is I feel like we'd have had a great little start on a method, but we've not got the island chuck here because we're set back a little bit. A little indication. Yeah, we've got no island chuck. It's one of the only pegs really that don't really have a chuck. Most of the pegs to my right have all got a little chuck. So hopefully we get enough signs here where we don't have to worry about fishing that rod early. We can catch shallow the first half of the match, you know, a few short, and then maybe fish shallow towards the sort of middle of the match, finishing the edge. That's the sort of plan. Speaking to a few at locals, they said, you know, it's not uncommon that some people can go in and catch down the edge from the off. I didn't want to start in the edge because I don't know the venue. I don't want to sort of put some bait there, they don't come in and sort of ruin it for later on. So I'm playing it safe. I'm not going to start in the edge or feed any bait down the edge to begin with. Most people who've got an island chuck seem to have started. There we go. I don't know how big these fish are, but they reckon they're averaging about £3-4. So we've got black Guru in, which is probably equivalent to like a black hydro sort of elastic, that sort of strength. 13 to 15 hollow, roughly around that way. I don't feel that small. Little mirror. Bloody hell, they fight. It's not that big, it's only probably 2.5-3 pounds, but it's scrapping. Come here. What are you doing? Come here. There we go. Nice start. I'm going to give that £3. Might be a tidgy bit more, but we'll give it 3. So again, just fishery 6mm pellet. Just put one of them in the band. Because they're not massive fish, I'm only fishing a 16s LWG. Sometimes I'd fish an MWG for carp, but hopefully there's nothing too big that's going to bust us. Hands as slippy as anything. I'm just going to get my little pliers out. I like fishing the little micro 2mm bands just because they look nicer, but when you get wet hands, they're a bit of a nightmare to get these little small 6s on. So we're going to repeat that, just like a dozen pellets. Start again. Keep feeding that shallow line. It's quite nice and flat there. Felt like I could be at the bottom of the shelf where there's some silt gathering, so it might fizz up there later on. Hopefully the bottom's still pretty hard there though. If it's not, I might have to come a tidgy bit closer, but when I come closer the shelf does come up pretty quick. Hopefully this rain will disappear as well. So a good start. Hopefully I'll just be able to nick a few fish here. You know, that sort of stamp, if we could catch, like, they're talking £200 to win, so when you break it down, you think like £200 if they're averaging £3, another bite. That's not a big fish, it's a little skimmer. So you've got to have skimmers in a separate net, so what I'm going to do is put my skimmers in that second net. Put a few more pellets this time, 15 pellets or so. Oh, a bit of sun. It's nice. Hopefully that sun will break through and we'll stop getting drenched. I was told there's lots of skimmers in here, like 4 ounce to £3. I wouldn't imagine this little corner bit's the best area to lake for them, but we've got a bit of depth short here, like 5 foot, so there's a good chance we could catch some here. There's another little skimmer. Might just be one of them venues where you get a bite of chuck all day. Little skimmers, odd carp mixed in. On the rules, you're only allowed like 3 pint of maggots and casters. So I can see now why a lot of people don't fish casters. You probably won't have enough bait to do it properly. Probably why pellets is so dominant. Plus, to be honest, you don't probably want to be catching loads of these skimmers when there's so many carp to be caught. Another little sign. Plenty of indications there. sure there's a little bit of discolouring in the water, like it's colouring up a bit. Unless it's just the sun, but I'm pretty sure that's colouring up just beyond my feed. It's got quite a bit of colour in the water, to be fair. It's not clear. It's about the same depth, probably 3 or 4 inch deeper out there long on the deck, but don't really want to fish long on the bottom, to be honest. I want to try and either catch them short here or in this right hand margin. The only thing with my right hand margin, I can't see tight against the bank, so I'm having to fish down the slope a little bit away from the bank. I've got a nice depth, it's about 2 foot, but ideally I'd like to be against the banking. I've had a little plumb around this left hand margin because they said they catch a lot of fish that side, but it's very rooty close to me. It's up and down a little bit next to these Norfolk reeds. I could go down into the corner, but I just feel like you're going into a corner where there's, you know, where the fish going to come from. I feel like my right hand margin is going to be better. So I was told there's a lot of these skimmers about. It's probably £1, so I've probably got £2 in that net. It's a £60 limit. I don't think we'll be catching £60 of them, but I know they can do it. Hopefully we'll be catching more carp. We won't have time to catch £60 of skimmers. Just going to throw a few pellets this time, because if we're getting skimmers coming in and eating some pellets, I don't really want to be tapping 10 pellets in, because they'll be getting it very quickly. So if we can loose feed and get bites, even better. We're drawing fish into his peg as well then. We might end up chucking 4mm here. If there's loads of skimmers to be caught, we might just fish 4mm here, and that could be really good. Try and catch whatever we can for the first half at match, and then hope for the second half, the last 2.5 hours, it'll be just out and out carp then. I'm not seeing, sometimes when you feed pellets shallow like that, you see early doors, you can see an odd little boil and stuff quite quick as the first sort of 1 or 2 come in your peg, but I'm not seeing any signs of that. Throw a few more pellets in. There we go. Bit of noise straight away. Them pellets have not even got anywhere near the bottom, but it's clearly a fish sat in my peg looking at my bait. Ooh. Maybe foul hooked. The amount of times that happens though, when you think, oh, it's gone under, it's not even got to the bottom, and it's not foul hooked. Pellet's actually fine, so I'm not gonna change that. Let's just pot a few. Just mix it up with that pot and throw in. I want to throw bait to obviously attract fish, but being 5 foot, it's not ideal. Trying to catch them on the bottom there, but some venues you go and the fish don't come up off the bottom. Other venues, they want to linger off the bottom. Throwing could actually be really good. And sometimes it can be a bit of a nightmare as well, because every time you throw pellets, if there's a lot of fish, they start coming off the bottom, you start foul hooking a lot of them, but if that starts happening, what we've got potential to do is come a little bit closer and try and fish almost just the top kit in front of the nets. So like now we've caught one, just give him a few pellets while my rig's not in the water. Common. We've got a mirror and a common. Mega fish. Fish are absolutely immaculate. Gonna give that another £3. Really good condition they are. Obviously kept really well and fed well. See if we can get one on with his fingers. No, just put the here's a little bander. Just gone for a slightly longer pellet there. Bit of a long barrelled 6mm. Just potted some pellets in there and come straight to it, so I think that's going to be the pattern to start with. Oh, we've got a little ghost common this time, so we've had a common, a mirror and a little ghost common. I'm going to say we've got £9. Just twisted its head there and snapped me up length. Little bugger. Got 017 on, so it's strong line but smaller hook. It's just flapped in the net and snapped me up length. Hands are really slimy, so I'll just see if I can pick out a slightly bigger one again. Slightly bigger pellet. If it was only like 3-4 foot in, I'd probably be more inclined to fish 4mm. A little bit shallower, a little bit smaller particle. But because, this, like I say, the 6mm are not massive, I just feel like they're probably the perfect size for what I want to be doing and the fish we're trying to catch. So I'll keep firing some pellets out long. But up to now, it's been quite clean there. No fizzing, which is a good thing. Hopefully the bottom's quite hard there still. It makes such a big difference that if you're fishing on silt and they start ripping the silt up, it can be a nightmare to catch them. So if they don't fizz, that'd be great. I think I was speaking to Jonathan, the owner. He said it was dug in 2013, so it's 12-year-old, but I don't know when the Matchday was dug. But yeah, it's one of them venues where the fish are in really good nick. They look quite new. Obviously the locals have said they started growing a bit now because he took a few out a few years back and it made the fishing even better, allowed the fish to grow and thrive. But just a bit of rubbish coming in my peg there. Just shift that rig again. Rig wise, we've just got a 0.4 bobby Not too light, not too heavy, just nice. That 0.4 for like 4.5, 5 foot of water is nice. You don't really want to be fishing 0.5 or 0.6, a bit too heavy. And likewise, you don't want to be fishing 0.2 and 3s. What's happening here? Has the skimmer got hold of that? It's done a little bit of a liner then. Didn't want to strike in case it was over a fish's back. The rig sort of just went to the side slightly. So not a bad little start. 3 carp for probably £9, £2 of skimmers. Oh, terrible catapult that one. That's better. Not a bite there for like 2 minutes, so I'm just going to throw a few pellets. It's terrible second throw. I always hate it when you're fishing down. I'd rather be level. I'm just a little bit high off the water here. It's just a little bit awkward to get your range. I fed 3 times then, but it was only because my second feed was a bit of a misfeed. It dropped a foot short. It's not ideal. You've got to have bait around your float, around your hook bait. Otherwise the fish will just swim to that little pile that's landed short. So sometimes if I do have a misfeed, I'll just feed again for a 3rd time. That's why it's always better to chuck your bait in 2 lots, because obviously you get 2 lots of noise, 2 columns of bait falling through. It's more attractive to the fish. Whereas if you just threw 1 big handful in, if you miss, then all your bait's short again, and you don't really want to be throwing, you know, another big handful over the top again to try and get something around your float. So it's always better to sort of split. If you think you want to feed 30 pellets, chuck 15 in twice. Like I say, it's more attractive, and if you do miss, you've only got sort of 15 pellets that are not in the right spot. You know, no one's going to throw them super accurate around the float every single time, but if you can get with sort of, I always think a dartboard sized area, like a foot circumference or so, that's always a good sort of guide, and I would class that as being quite accurate. It's another reason why you don't want to be fishing too far. You know, I don't want to fish this at 6-7 metres, because then all of a sudden I can't loose feed accurately by hand. I'd have to start using the catapult, and it gets a bit awkward. Fishing close, the reason that's so good is, one, it keeps the fish down a little bit better. They're more inclined to stay down and not come off the bottom. And that's why the opposite is said for your shallow fishing. The further out you can fish, the more confident the fish will be at coming off the bottom and coming shallow. So looking around the lake, it's not a blistering start. I mean, I don't know the venue, so I'm not going to say it's fishing slow, because it could be a venue where, you know, the last couple of hours they really go mad, and it's sort of like 100, 120 pound in the last sort of half of the match. I think the best I've seen up to now is probably, it's another little skimmer. The best I've seen up to now is probably, can't see a couple of lads around the back, but probably 4 or 5 carp. So we're not a million miles off at the minute. Right, we're about 40 minutes in. We've got 4 carp and 4 skimmers. Probably got £2.5 of skimmers, 4 carp for £13. Probably got like £15, £16, something like that. Just going out, just having a little look shallow. There's quite a few fish fizzing, which tells me there is fish definitely below this shallow line. I've not actually set a deck rig up for this, because I felt like they'd be hard to catch fishing on the bottom. And speaking to a few of the lads who've been, they said shallow fishing was quite good, but I've not seen much mooching about. It doesn't feel like there's loads of fish shallow. I've seen like 1 or 2 on the surface. I've not had any bites there fishing like really shallow. My mate Gavin comes quite a bit. He said they can be hard to catch sometimes because they come quite high up. So let's just go a little bit deeper, probably like 18 inch, 17, 18 inch I reckon I am there now. Let's see if we get a few bites. Like I say, it's only 5 foot there, it's about similar depth to short. Just got a little just a little indication straight away then. A little 2x10 dibber on, so a nice light dibber. Just got one shot under float and one down line. Can't imagine, if these fish do come shallow, I can't imagine them being much deeper than 2 foot because it's 5 foot deep. If they're going to come up, they're going to come right up, and if they're going to not come shallow, they're probably just going to stay hard on the bottom. So just a little indication there again. Keep feeding that short line because we might have to drop back in there and be patient. Got 2 indications on this now again. Could be small fish. Didn't look carpy, that, to be fair. Just keep turning that rig over. Definitely a lot of fish out there because they're fizzing up like mad. I mean, they could be skimmers, to be fair, but some of them will definitely be carp as well as. Try slapping it twice. See, I've seen a fish move near the aerator shallow then, but we've had a lot of rain last night. Like, the shallow fishing could be slow to start with. We can get a bit of sun out, it might just pop up and all of a sudden, like, it could be good. Yeah, I've just seen another fish boil at like 7 metres there. Not seen any of that this morning. I've not really been looking out for it, to be fair, but this is the problem, I think, when you're sort of stuck in a corner as well. Like, they don't tend to be the best shallow pegs. The better shallow pegs most of the time is when you've got a bit of open water to draw the fish in. There we go. Eventually. Normally corner pegs like this, these are the sort of pegs you catch massive weights on when they're in, because they'll all just be in this corner. Like if it was a mugging day in the spring, a warm sunny day, you can imagine the wind blows in and there's just loads of carp in this little bay. When I drew it this morning, one of the lads said it would be a challenge, but then I spoke to a couple of other lads and he said it's a good peg, so you never quite know, to be honest. I just always think consistency wise, middle of the you little bugger, middle of the lake's normally a good area. And sometimes find they're a bit feast or famine in the corners, but I'm just going to slip a little white pellet on. Just a little white 6mm. Just a little cell. Lightly coloured cell activate pellet. Well, at least we've had a bite on that, so that's good. I'll keep chucking some pellets there. When I said before about not fizzing short, I have had some blows and fizzes there now. Oh, there's a fish right near my feed then. I might have actually spooked that as I went in and fed. Hold on a minute, we're getting some signs here now. There's definitely a fish there now. It's got a bit of colour in it, so I feel like the fish could come shallow. They could come right up as well. Sometimes when it's clear, a bit spooky, that pole tip, but hopefully that shouldn't be a problem. Might just be a case where you've got to be a little bit patient, and you just, you know, you're not going to get tons of fish feeding in your peg. You just catch an odd fish out of the blue. You don't ever sort of get them eating on your pellets. And when they're small fish like this, sometimes they'll feed on your pellets and you can get them in your feed, a little bit like F1s. But other days when the fish are bigger, you generally just find that you're almost just trying to get their attention and slapping a pellet. That's when sort of 6mm would be better. But if you want them to be eating your actual pellets as they're going through, smaller particles like 4mm are generally better. Lots of fizzing going on the bottom, so I still feel like there's plenty of fish down on the deck. They've probably just not come up yet. Don't get any bites on this in the next couple of slaps. I might just change my depth, just put another 4" or so on. That fish that was in my peg then, it's shown itself quite shallow, so I wanted to stay there sort of thing. There's a fish there, let's just see if we can mug him. Seen a little boil near that leaf. Let's just give it another slap near that leaf. I think he was trying to gob at that leaf. No. You're not interested. Oh, there's one here now. Yeah, it's probably the same fish that, because it come up and you were like gobbing at a bit of rubbish on the top. Keep chucking a few pellets short. I can still see an odd fizz there, so whether they're skimmers or not, but there's still an odd fish short. Wrist is absolutely killing at the minute, so my netting's probably going to be quite bad today. And I've probably got it from doing this all the time, putting fish in my net with my landing net handle. So that's my excuse if I throw a few bad pellets in or net a bad fish, is my wrist hurting. So that was on a white pellet, but it took quite a while to catch a fish, so I'm just going to go back to the Fishery 6. It's a little bit smaller. So we've hooked 2 fish shallow, so that's good. Hopefully we're going to get some bites shallow. Might improve as the day goes on. Feel like we've got about, I'm going to give that £3, so 13, 14, £16 of carp. 16 £16 of carp. 5 carp for £16 I reckon we've got. £60 net limit here, so just put 5 nets in to start with. Got another one if need be. And that means that plus silverfish in 1 net, we could go £50 a net. That'll get us to 200. If we're catching anything more than that, we can always chuck another net in, but I don't know if we're going to catch much more than that, to be honest. Oh, there's a bite, missed that one. Looked like it took it a little bit shallower. I was going to go a bit deeper last chuck, but I feel like there's probably just not loads of fish in my peg yet. A couple of little indications as the rig's gone through. When they pop up these fish, they're probably going to be quite shallow by the looks of it. And that's exactly what my mate Gav said to me as well. Because they do come quite high, so I can see that already. Is when they come in your peg, they're probably going to be quite high up. But with a bit of rain, it wouldn't surprise me if I did go a bit deeper and catch a few at 2 foot. But we'll just stay at this sort of depth for now. Feels like you're not getting loads of bites. If there was F1 fishing, I'd be changing depths a lot quicker. But I know what them carp are like when they come off the bottom shallow. Normally, once you sort of find where they are, they stay at that sort of depth. They're not like F1s where they can be up and down all day. You know, foot, 2 foot, 3 foot. Carp generally within 6 inch of one depth all day. So if they want to be 12 to 18 inch, that's probably where you'll catch them. If they want to be 2 to 3 foot, 2.5 foot sort of thing, that's probably where you'll catch the majority of them. It just depends on the venue you're at. It's very rare you catch them like 3 foot and then end up catching them 6 inches by the end. They're normally just either shallow or deep shallow. Because we ain't got much water below us as well, like 5 foot. I feel like they're more inclined to just come straight up. There's not loads of bites there. I'm just going to go a bit deeper. Just go like down to 2 foot, and I'm just going to move my shot up just so I've got a really slow fall of that pellet going through. Probably 2 foot deep there now. Oh, straight away. Took that on the drop though, so it took it going through. Probably took it at the depth I've just been fishing at. Can't love to watch the bait falling though, so sometimes it pays to fish a little bit deeper than what you're actually trying to catch them. I don't think it's foul look like, but basically just tighten the rig up and carry on going. At least the rain stopped. I was worried that we were just going to have a horrible day and just rain. Don't bother me so much, but it's not great for filming. Just makes it awkward when you've got all camera equipment and it's non-stop raining. So again, I'm going to give that one £3, probably a little bit under, but this seemed to be averaging around the £3 mark. It's £20, probably an hour in. If £200 is going to win, we're going to either need some bigger fish, or it's going to need to come thick and fast towards the end. You might not need £200, £150 might be enough to win. Can't see anybody absolutely emptying it. Lad to my left's probably got similar to me. Can't see the lads round the back of the island. Someone did say that peg 14 is a really good peg, but I can't actually see that peg. Oh, bite straight away. Maybe they just sat that few inches deeper. Probably only gone like 5 or 6 inch deeper. 2 signs on the drop straight away. And another little indication then. That didn't really look carpy though, to be fair. It could have been. Might have just missed my pellet. That didn't look carpy either. Let's just try a little lift and drop there. Sometimes when they're sat in your peg, you can just lift it and drop it, and they'll just take it as it's falling back through. There, someone had a go at that as it fell back through. I thought it was a small fish then when he hooked it, and then it took off a little bit. I don't think it's big, but so maybe they're just sat that little bit deeper down at the minute, deeper than what I was expecting because of the rain and stuff. Probably just pushed them down a touch. If we don't get any rain now for an hour or so, then all of a sudden, you know, it might warm up a smidges and the fish want to push back up and catch them a little bit shallower than this, but at least we're getting some signs now, so plod on doing this for a bit, and then if something changes, we'll try and make a little adjustment and stay in touch with them. I don't feel like there's going to be loads of bites short, to be honest, because that run out pretty quickly, but I'm going to keep feeding it because the second half of the match that could be quite important, and then obviously halfway through I want to be looking to actually feed that margin, but I can just see the lad on peg one there. I can just see mud coming up around his short line, like 4 metres out. I can see a plume of mud in front of his peg as if some fish is feeding. See, that's better, a little bit deeper. Definitely more signs on that now. So at least it's starting to happen a little bit for us now. That shallow line didn't look great when I first went on it, but now there's some fish starting to show. Maybe I just started a little bit too shallow. I've got 23 pound, I'm going to say, in that net. I think this one's a little bit bigger. Could be a 4 pounder. Yeah, it's a little bit chunkier, this one. Bit of ghost in him again. That's a lovely fish, that. Oh yeah, a little ghost common, that isn't it? What a lovely looking carp he is. It's slippery. I'm going to show him you. Look at that. What a beautiful fish that is. A little ghosty type common. I'll give him about 4 pounds, so we've got 27 pound in there now. Fingers crossed we've found somewhere where the depth is and we're getting some sort of bites now. Something to work with at least anyway. Right, we're just over 2 hours in. We've had a brilliant run shallow. Caught probably 60-70 pound on that. I've just dropped back in short, and to be honest I weren't expecting much here. I just thought I'll drop in just to see what's happening, just while I rest that shallow line again. And I've dropped in here and had 5 carp straight away, so we've got ourselves up to 28, probably got 80 odd, low 80 pound now. We've got one full net at like 50 odd, and then it's Consolidating now all of a sudden. We've got one full net 50 odd and we've got 28 in this second one, and this is my 6th carp on this short line, which, considering it was quite slow at the start, you know, we got 3 early and then no more bites. I feel like that rain's just had a little bit of a slow start on the fishing. I know it's been brilliant, and you'd think, what are you on about, you've got £80, but I know sometimes they go in the edge and they're catching the edge from the off, and what I can tell is they're not coming in the real shallow water because nobody's bagging in the edge yet, but people are starting to get a few fish now. The lake's definitely picking up. I think that's shallow line. I can't really see anybody else fishing shallow, but that's definitely been good to start. So that gives us 32 in that net. Just fishing fishery 6mm on the hook, feeding 6s, fishery 6s. I've tried the little white cell pellet and I got one first chuck on it and I thought, oh, that'll be good, and to be honest it hasn't. Just a normal, what I'm fishing and feeding has been best. Just throwing in like 10 to 15 pellets twice. Just pick that rig up, let it straighten just to make sure it's not drifting beyond the shelf. I'm still feeding that shallow line all the time because I feel like that's going to come back good again. But at the minute I'm just going to happily sit here. I was thinking I'll be back out shallow after 10 minutes, but not when I'm catching this steady here. So 32 and about 50. Yeah, we're getting close to £90 nearly now, which 2 hours in is amazing. Seen a fish cruising in the edge there. I feel like I've done the right thing not feeding the edge too early as well, because I don't like feeding the edge early if the fish are not going to come in till later on. I feel like they'll spread your bait everywhere. I'd rather just wait until them fish naturally want to come in, and then I can just start my peg with like 2 hours to go, and hopefully they'll just be straight on it and they won't blow the bait here, there and everywhere. Otherwise you end up with fish like 4 or 5 metres down the banking all over your peg because you fed it a little bit too early, and even though they'll come in they just won't be confident catching them there. So where I'm having to fish my edge, I can't get against the bank and I can't get into like any shallow water as such, so I'm going to opt to fish micros there. They're clearly fish that like being fed pellets. They're in immaculate condition and they're little feeding machines, so I feel like micros is going to draw the fish in. I didn't want to fish ground bait, I just felt like ground bait would probably just get blown everywhere because I'm having to fish down the slope a touch. I just feel like ground bait would be a little bit messy, so I'm probably just going to opt to fish micros and maggots there. I've literally only got half a pint of maggots. I'm just going to feed micros. Might put a very odd maggot in with micros. I ain't got enough really to feed them. It would have been nice to have some corn. I forgot my corn, Anna. Useless I am. I was going to fish micros and corn in the edge. But hopefully maggots will still be quite good. They look like them type of fish that'll eat maggots, to be fair. I've got no option now because I've no corn anyway, so it's going to be micros and maggots. Hopefully I won't get mithered by silvers too much. I don't feel like there's lots of skimmers here. Early doors obviously we caught a few skimmers, probably because there weren't so many carp lingering about, and whether like the fish have just sort of come into this corner as the day's gone on. I didn't feel like there was lots of fish in this corner at the start, but now I am starting to see like a very odd fish move to my left hand side every now and again. Like one's just come up there then 7-8 metres. Probably could have mugged him if I had my shallow rig on, to be fair. So I feel like now there's some fish starting to come into this bay as well, which could make short fishing quite good later on. And this line, I mean, I've just caught them 6 really fast. There is fish still there. I can see my float just getting an odd little liner. The bites have been brilliant, like the bites just literally wallop under. That was a bit of a... Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a funniest bite, a little bit of a skimmer. It's probably a telltale sign to come off this line for a sec now, so I'll keep feeding it. Had a brilliant little run there just while I'm resting my shallow line. If I go back shallow, the fish have been... They've been where my top kit meets my number 3, so I'm only fishing a short kit. And these fish have been where that meets, which is about 22 inch, I would say. Just under 2 foot. Now most of the time, the fish have been taking it on the drop. But whenever I come to like 18 inches deep, I don't seem to get hardly anywhere near as many bites, so I've basically been fishing a little bit deeper than what I feel like the fish have been. Hey, oh, there's a ghostie there. Oh, ghostie just popped up. There's an odd leaf on the surface and the fish keep coming up and just having a little gob towards them. It's like there. The best thing I've found is not make tons and tons of noise. Just literally keep straightening my rig out, give it a little slap, try and keep that line not tight. You don't want to be twitching your float, but there, just pick up the tension so that if someone has it on the drop, you just seem to miss less bites like that. I have to be careful of that aerator because I've already had one trash a rig and take me into that aerator. I have to put a new rig on. But that's how I've caught most of my fish. Just slap my rig. It's doing two things. It makes a little bit of noise when obviously your pellet turns over and it's the water. But also it's keeping everything nice and straight and tight. Shotting wise, I have it slightly different for carp to what I do when I'm fishing for F1s. So that's... I'm going to give that £2, probably a little bit more, but... So shotting wise, I've got a shot about 3 or 4 inch below my float. Reason for that is I don't want a shot directly under my float. It sometimes makes the float bounce about and tangle. And then I've got one at probably just above half depth, so I've got a massive fall. Rather than just having it all underneath my float, it just gets that float cocking a little bit slower. It's just nice way of, when you slap your rig, it just goes in nice and soft. It don't bounce about too much because your shots are spread. Sometimes you put all your shot underneath your float. It's alright if you're fishing with big pellets like 8mm. But sometimes it's good just to have a little bit of line down your, a little bit of shot down your line. So again, like I'll feed. Not had many where my rig's just been sat there and they just pulled the tip over. Nearly every one has been when I've slapped my rig, it's going down, and they took it like 4 to 6 inch before the actual depth I've got to. So like as soon as that's settled up, slap my rig. You can imagine my rig's still settling, just about getting straight. Fire some pellets in, turn it over again, so basically you're just fishing on the drop. So there, still settling. That's probably, if I'm set at 22 inches, probably took that at 16 or 18 inch. Like I say, every time I shallow up, I don't get bites, so you're missing bites sometimes. People automatically think, oh, the fish are shallower, but sometimes for carp it's better to go a little bit deeper and try and make them take it on the drop. If you can get them taking it on the drop, you seem to miss less bites and just catch them a little bit easier. So we've got £34 in this net. I have to be careful with my net limits because I always forget when I'm talking. 34 plus, not quite £2, but we'll give him £2. So that's £36 now in that net. Just chuck some pellets in short. My hook bait is fine, as long as your hook bait don't go super soft, it'll be fine. Slap my rig out. Feed some pellets. Ooh, missed a bite. Feed some pellets. Just got to keep working that rig. I've tried little lifts and drops, like just lifting it up like that. I've missed a couple of bites doing it, but it's not been great. As I say that I got one. That can be a way of catching them sometimes, but it's not. It's been better to slap the rig, to be fair. It might change though throughout the day, like as we start getting more and more fish coming into the peg, that lifting and dropping can be brilliant, especially if you're catching them deeper. Like if you ever go to a venue where you're catching them 2-3 foot deep, 4 foot deep even, like I went to Ayfield Sunday and had £200, and that's how I caught them, just little lifts and drops, not slapping, just keeping it in the feed and lifting and dropping it. It was brilliant. Today, fish are slightly shallower. You know, we're fishing without pellets, which is a noise type of bait. They're coming to the noise of them. That gives me, about 36, I'm going to say £40. And that little lifting and dropping can be brilliant, but the best way today has definitely been just slapping it, like not slapping the life out of it, not like slap, just one slap at a time, just to keep the rig falling through. Keep chucking some there. Sometimes it pays just to stop and feed as well, because there's no pole overhead now. The amount of times you'll go out, slap your rig, and sometimes you'll get one now because it's the first time your pole's there. Don't get one, feed some pellets. A little bit short then. Give it a slap. Oh, here comes the rain. We don't want the rain. When you do come to a new venue like this, sometimes it's hard to know exactly what to do, but today, you know, I've looked at my peg, it's 5 foot deep. Is that a skimmer or something? Yeah, a skimmer. I've looked at my peg, it's sort of 5 foot deep. It's like, right, well, there's going to be a lot of silt out on the long pole, and at times they fizz like mad out there. I don't feel like you would have caught a great deal of them on the bottom long. And because there's enough fish in the venue, you can generally just fish shallow for them and then catch the rest of them short. So I'm going to go, I've not had loads of bites there, I'm going to go a little bit deeper. It's probably 2 foot now, I'll probably just put another couple of inch on that. Obviously there's still an odd fish there, but I thought that little rest might have done it the world of good. Luckily we dropped in and we caught some carp short. Another indication then. So a few more indications, just going that little bit deeper. Sometimes it only takes a couple of inches and you just start getting more signs. Just give it a little lift and drop. With these carp, sometimes they like to come in your peg, and because they're sometimes on their own, or there's 1s and 2s, not like F1s where you can have a shoal of them sometimes. Because they come in the peg in 1s and 2s, being a little bit more stealthy and just lifts and drops like that, not making much commotion, can be a real good way of catching them. I'm just going to have a few feeds, just lifting and dropping, see what happens, because I've had a few indications. Not caught one. They could be skimmers. Okay, just a little lift and drop. Once it's settled up, just pick your rig out like 6 inch, fold it to one side slightly, let it settle up, pick it back up, let it settle up. You normally know after like half a dozen times of doing it whether it's going to get you a fish or not. So if it doesn't, I just go back to a slap, see if they want that little bit of noise. Little indication straight away. Maybe I've gone a little bit too deep. I don't feel like there's loads of fish that shallow, but you can definitely be just 6 inches too deep sometimes. Adding that little bit extra depth. Yeah, I've caught one, but I'm going to take it back off again now. Don't feel like it helped me that much. Skimmer wise, I reckon we might have 5 or 6 pounder skimmers. We've got 43. You know, we're probably £5 off a ton. Probably got about 90 odd pound, I reckon. That's £43. I might be overestimating them a little bit, but so I'm going to take that couple of inch off. Just move the shot down a touch, just to try and keep it a little bit tighter. Because even though carp love watching the bait fall, and sometimes it's good not to have anything down your line and just have it all high up, so that oh, I've got a leaf, just to have it all high up. But sometimes if you're missing an odd little pluck, just having that shot at half depth just allows you to hit an odd bite that you're missing. So play about with your shotting pattern. It's very rare I'd have it sat on top of my hook length like I do when I'm F1 fishing, unless it's really good and I've got loads of indications of bites. Then I may try it. Or if it's really windy and your rig's, you know, got too much slack and bow in it. Generally on big lakes, to be fair. So I'm going to go back to what I was doing, just slapping once regular. That seemed to be the best way of catching them. Right, there's 2 hours to go. I've just had a little run short. I'm just going to feed my edge now. I just feel like this last 2 hours there's some better fish probably to be caught closer. Just had 2 5-pounders down this edge. I'm literally just going to pop my pellets. I'm going to put like 400 millimicros there. I didn't want to feed this too early. I feel like I might have timed this right today. I don't want to feed it too early and like fish come in and get distracted. Realistically, I'm probably looking for like the last hour down there. Just a bit of reed there. I can knock that down. I'm probably looking to fish there for the last hour. That shallow line's not been brilliant last 25 minutes. I've just dropped back in short. There's definitely some fish to be caught short again, so I'm going to keep feeding shallow, obviously, because this short line could go and the edge line might not be no good. Like, I'm looking around, nobody's absolutely slaying them in the edge yet, and I know they catch a lot of fish here in the edge, or I've heard they catch a lot of fish in the edge. But this short line feels like it's got some better stamp fish on. Like I said, the last 2 fish have been 5-pounders, which, considering most of them have been about £3 average, maybe 3.5. you know, just being able to catch them slightly better stamp fish might make a difference. I'm just still feeding just 6 mils here. I know a lot of locals do fish things like paste and 4 mils, but I feel like them 6 mils have been quite good. When they've ate them, when they've come in the peg, they've ate them. You know, we've not suffered with like foul lookers. It's weird because sometimes when you're fishing on this short line, you get fish coming off the bottom. They've not really done that here, to be fair. They've behaved brilliantly, stayed down, been nice. But then obviously out there, there's been a few shallow fish, so by feeding 4s, it might have brought a few more fish off the bottom there, might have brought a few more skimmers into my peg as well. So I feel like 6s has been a good move there. Weight wise, I've got 18 pound in this net. I'm just reminding myself because I keep forgetting. 18 pound, 18.5 pound I've got. Ooh, oh, that's bad netting. Fishing with hook lengths is important. Someone asked me the other week, why bother fishing with hook lengths if you're fishing so heavy, but you get something like that where it might just have chopped me off on my net. You need to set a full new rig up, whereas that's just a case of swapping the hook length now. So 10 pellets twice. I've not needed to feed loads of bait there, which is good. Sometimes you have to feed to draw them in. There's a bit of a line of them. That's probably the first fish that has wanted to come off the bottom for ages, to be fair. We might go back in shallow and it might get really good again, shallow fishing, but if that starts to fade, last hour and a half I might just concentrate fishing. If I don't go in and they're not there shallow, that was a weird bite. This could be the first foul looker of the day. Unless he's picked my pellet up and come off the bottom. No, he's in the mouth, it's ghosty. He's probably just picked my pellet up there and come off the bottom because the float went under, and then as I went to strike, it looked like I'd missed the bite and the fish was already back up. That's what I say about these fish, like they're just eating machines. When they come in your peg, I'd have sworn that was foul luck just by the weird bite. Probably 3.5 pounds, so I'm going to give myself 22 pound in that net. So we've probably got 120 pound now. We're probably on par for near 200 if we carry on like this. If we can catch some better fish in the margins, and that could also bump us weight up quite quick. I'm not seeing any colouring or anything there yet, but flick that rig out. 10 pellets twice. So it doesn't seem like there's loads of fish here, short as what there was. I'm going to have one last chuck because I feel like it's good for one more fish. I'll give it a little feed. I feel like we can get one more here and then we'll just have a look shallow. Hopefully, because I've rested shallow, a few might have drifted on it. But sometimes your shallow line can fade when it's carp fishing like this, because they start to naturally come in, and that's when your edge and short pole generally takes off. So we've got 25 in this net, haven't we? Lad in the corner up there, he's catching a few short as well now, quite well. I think he started slow, but he's starting to catch steady now short. There's quite a lot of these ghost commons in here. In fact, it's just a pure ghosty, that one. Mega looking fish. Really, really nice fish, that. So we'll see. He's not quite £3, but we'll give him £3, £28 in that net. And another look back shallow. If that's no good, we'll just finish our match fishing there and in the margin. So there's about an hour and 15 left. I've literally just had one down the edge, first chuck. Shallow, I got a little run on it and then it went funny again, so I think I'm just going to concentrate and spend my time now fishing short and in my edge. I've heard a few people saying they can't catch a carp in the edge, but whether their edges have been a little bit shallower or whether, you know, they've fed it a little bit too early and fish have been coming in and out and not really wanting to feed, and that's literally just gone back in and gone again. Now I might have a problem where, because I can't get against the bank, yeah, maybe like that, where I can't get against the bank, I might get an odd fouler, but hopefully they'll settle down. But it's good that there's been some fish coming in, so I'm literally just fishing like 6 or 8 dead maggots on the hook, just putting as many on as I possibly can get. So a nice big bunch of maggots. Put a few maggots in with my micros. I'm going to keep feeding that short line because I feel like that could get good. But in an ideal world, we'd just like to catch in this margin until the end if we can. So I'm just feeding like 2 inch to the left of my float, just to make sure that I'm not feeding on the slopey bit. But there seems to be plenty of fish there, like my float's moving again there straight away. It's solid one. I don't want too many fish coming in because I don't want it where they're just blowing my bait everywhere. But because they're these, what I call match size carp, like 3-4 pounders, little eating machines basically, hopefully we shouldn't need to put too many big pots in. I've just got a large girly one, so that's £6, 2 for £6 down the edge. The stamp doesn't seem to be any bigger, which I'm not too fussed about. I'm not trying to catch any bigger stamp fish. It'd be nice if you get a few 5-6 pounders, but I don't feel like we're going to go in. I don't think there's any like 8-10 pounders in here from what I've seen anyway. It's just a lot of sort of smaller match size fish, so it'd be nice now hopefully that we can just keep catching these fish down this edge bit. Just got a fast release large girder on there. I can see a little boil behind my float now. There's definitely fish. See, the sun's just come out and I can see that the water's a little bit coloured up down there as well. Couldn't see that a minute ago when it was overcast. So now I know there's definitely plenty of fish down there. It's pretty obvious when you've caught 3 and 3 chucks as well, but or hooked 3 at least. The only problem I'll have is the bank is probably a good 2 or 3 foot. I'm fishing 2 or 3 foot off the bank here, so I know I'm going to get fish swimming around my rig and pushing my rig about. Hopefully we'll just wait for proper bites and we'll be able to catch them still. If I start having a nightmare with it, then I can always drop back on that short line where they'll probably be a little bit more sensible to catch. I'm going to keep feeding that because I feel like that could come good again. Weight wise, we've probably got over £150. We've just started this new net and we've probably got £6 in that, so I feel like I've got 3 nets full, £50 a net, maybe 52, and then we've got £6 in this last net, so a few skimmers as well, but not many skimmers, not as many as I thought. When I first caught them 3 or 4 skimmers at the start, I thought we'd we'd get a lot of skimmers, to be fair. The fish might have blown the bait up the bank a little bit, but I can't physically see any tighter in than this. It looks like you'll probably see how far off the bank I am better than me, but I'm just laying on like 2 inch and just drawing it onto that slope. See that one then, when I hooked it, it was going up the shelf. Probably pick them maggots up as it's going up the shelf. It wasn't a great bite, it weren't the whack underbite that I wanted. I don't think it was foul up, but it wasn't a clean bite. You can sometimes get them funny slow bites though when you're over depth. Is it ghosty? Yeah, a little ghosty. Quite a few of these today. A little bit bigger as well. I'll give him 4.5, so that'll give us 10.5 pound. Calm down, mate. Some venue though. What a venue. Fishing's unreal. Not a massive venue, like you won't get massive matches on here. I think 20 is probably the limit you could get on the lake. They've only got this lake and a specimen lake. Specimen lake's just behind me. There's plenty of big fish in there, but so I'm gonna lay that rig in. I've got a little green marker on the far bank there, one of them fence posts. Draw my rig like an inch or two to the right of it. It's nice how we're not having to feed lots of bait to get the fish to come in. Well, there's plenty of fish lingering there now. When I plumbed up, it was like a bit of a big shelf here. It's a lot deeper this side, but to my right hand side, skimmer. To the right hand side, the shelf was quite big. It come out for quite a way. I was going to fish my short line that side, but I chose to fish it in front of me just because it's a bit flat and nicer. Let's pull this bulk down. I've just moved that bulk about 6 inch from the hook, just because I'm fishing a couple of inch over depth. I didn't want the bulk right in front of the fish's face, but I don't think they're that fussed by that bulk, so I'm going to pull it back down a little bit. Let's try and pin my rig here now. Feed that bait. Swirling on it. I've probably been better just fishing off the bank a bit more and throwing pellets, to be honest, if they're going to be scatty like this. This is why it's so important to get against the bank. If you can get against the bank, I probably would have had 6 or 7 one after another here now. But at least they're coming in, at least we're getting signs and the fish want to be there. Probably just need to get a few out of the peg and let it calm down, and then they might be easier to catch. Little 2 pounder. That'll give us, I'll say that's 2.5, so I'm going to say I'm on 13 pound now. We can get another 37 pound this last little bit of the match. Hopefully we'll get past that 200 pound barrier, which would be mega on our first visit. We're into the last 20 minutes. They've been a nightmare to catch in that edge, but I've come back short and they're just so much happier short. Like, we've had a good little run on it, and then all of a sudden, last 10 minutes I would say, I'm starting to get a lot of signs of fish like wanting to come off the bottom, probably too many there. And I feel like this is going a little bit funny now, so we have just chucked a net in, to be fair, so that might have disturbed them. We've got over £200. You know, looking back on the day, it's an awesome fishery, and these fish are real nice, fit, healthy fish. The feeding fish, do you know what I mean? It's really good. We've not foul up loads, hardly at all, to be fair. They've been quite good. So I can't say, you know, when there's fish there now, I should be coming in the edge because I'm still catching them. But I feel like this last little spell now, if I had a nice edge, I would be catching them in the edge. Because generally, when they're so well behaved, like they've been all day, and they're just staying down on the bottom, bolt's just messed up. When they're so well behaved and they're staying down on the bottom, it's pretty much telling you that's where they're happy. If they were coming up off the bottom here, like they have been sort of the last 10 minutes, and like I say, it could be to do with me putting the nets in, could be to do that the fish now want to come into that shallow water and my edge might come good. Like, I've just fed my edge again. Might have another little look down there before the end, but definitely been more consistent short instead of waiting in the edge and fish pushing your bait about and blowing it everywhere. Pretty much because you can't get against the bank. If I could get against the bank, I feel like I'd have had one chuck down there, because they've definitely come into the edge. I've seen him churning it up and there's been multiple fish there at once, but if you're not putting nothing in the net and it's hard work, so to speak, it's probably telling you that you shouldn't be fishing on that line. So I dropped back in short and I had a good little run, caught like £30 on this, got myself to over £200. So anything else from here now is a bonus. We're just sort of adding to, I feel like I've got about 210 at the minute. Anything from here now, this last 20 minutes, and we're just adding to our weight then. Rather like chasing myself, trying to catch them in the edge when it's not right. You know, some pegs, they might have emptied it in the edge. There's a few fish getting caught now, so it's hard to keep up, but I still feel like we're doing alright. Locals said about £200 I'd win, so like I say, if I can just catch another £20–30, hopefully we'll be up there, because I feel like it was quite slow for a lot early doors. And they might have thought it was going to fish better than it was. Still been amazing for me, like. And to be honest, when I drew this peg this morning, it was sort of like mixed feelings from anglers, really. Some were saying, oh no, it can be good, and some saying it'd be a challenge there for you. And being honest, when I didn't have an island chuck early doors, I was thinking that it might be a little bit of a disadvantage, but we've been able to catch pretty much steady away all day, to be honest. This short line's definitely been the right thing to do late on, rather than fish shallow, because shallow was inconsistent, but I just felt like the fish were out in the lake. You know, we probably could have just pinged 6 mils and fished on the bottom, and I think we'd have caught. I don't know if we'd have caught as much as what we did shallow, but we definitely would have caught. In the next few weeks, I think, if the shallow fishing sort of goes a little bit, just pinging some pellets long on the deck would probably be good for the first few hours, and then short on edges before it goes too cold. I'd love to come and have another go, to be honest, because it's just a mega little venue. I'll have to get my bait bander back out. Get my pliers on the job. My hands and my pellets are all going slippy. There we go. I weren't getting one of them on with my hands. When I fed my edge, they did colour it up a little bit. It stopped very quickly. Because there were a few fish come and had a look, and then they disappeared again. Maybe it just went a bit funny here, just because I put that extra net in. Bit of disturbance from the banking, like any sort of vibrations. You got a shoal of fish feeding and settled, and all of a sudden there's a bit of commotion and banging about and chucking nets in. Like, it's not going to do you any favours. So, but they're not gone. They're still there. There's still plenty of fish there. They're still fizzing and whatnot. They didn't fizz up early. Like, there's a few bubbles coming up there now, so there is a bit of silt there. It felt quite hard when I plumbed up at the start, and obviously they didn't blow for the first few fish, so I thought, might be sound this. It's definitely blown. Well, it's blown its head off on that long line. There's definitely a lot more silt out there. So like, it's just consistent here now. Got a nice depth. You know, 5 foot of water. They're quite settled. And to be honest, my biggest fish has been about £7. I've got a nice ghostie, about £7, ghost mirror. That's been my biggest fish. But I've had most of my better fish, like, on this short line. I wet in the edge and they were smaller, if anything. Which again probably tells you they're happy in that slightly deeper water just because of the rain and stuff. I'm putting a scrap up. Come on. Go. Probably gives us £13 in this net. So I'm reckoning we're near about 220-ish, which is mega. Yeah, it's not colouring that edge up no more. Coloured it up for a little spell and then stopped. Flick them pellets in. That was quite a good throw, to be fair. My throwing's been a bit off today because my wrist's so sore, but and my cattying. See there though, a little liner. Something's off bottom there. Just want them little fast bites, little fast, sharp unders. Anything slow, try to ignore a bit. A little bit funny on there. 4 minutes left, he said. See if we can get one more. 2 would be amazing, 1 would be nice. There's a bit of colour in that edge. I might just see if I can finish with 1 in the edge for you. I know I'm probably going to get another bite or 2 here though. Right, they're just going a bit funny. Let's just have a go on that edge, just see what happens. More out of curiosity, to be honest, because they've gone a bit scatty up that. Probably catch a perch now. Just feel like if I had a good edge, when they start going funny on that short line like that, it's telling you you're probably fishing in the wrong part of your peg. I say it all the time, the fish will tell you what they want, whether they're happy or not. And a lot of people don't know what I mean by that, but when you've had such a good run short, and then they start wanting to come off the bottom, they're probably telling you they want to be in slightly shallow water. So I'm just going to go in here now, and you might go in and catch like 2 really easy fish and think, oh, I probably should have been fishing there for a bit, but I don't think I'd have caught what I caught in the edge I don't think I'd have caught what I've caught fishing in the edge compared to what I've caught last hour fishing short. But they have gone a little bit funny short, so let's just see if we can finish with an edge fish. A lot more sensible than before. That short line was looking really good until I put my other net in. I think it just sent him a bit funny, or like I say, just the fact that they might want to be in shallower water now. So I'm not going to have long left, so you can get one more to finish off. I reckon we've literally got a minute or so. Just put 5 maggots on. Be nice just to see if we get a fish coming straight away. Baiting. Draw that rig onto the slope. Hopefully we've got about a minute left just to see what happens here. Just to see whether we would have got a nice little run on it. Fish straight on that. Could be perch though, I mean I had a few perch. There's a little tap on that straight away though. And there we go, there's the all out. We'll get weighed in and then I'll let you know how I've done. So we've got weighed in, we've finished the match. Just have a little conclusion about the day. Is there anything I'd have done different? I don't think so, like without, you know, blowing smoke up my own bum sort of thing. I feel like I've had a real good match. I felt like the rain would definitely knock the fishing a little bit, which sounds daft the way it's fished. It's still been amazing. But what I mean by that is the fish hadn't wanted to be in shallower water, and I thought that would be the case. Shallow fishing's been okay in spells, but my best line late on was definitely that short pole line. I opted to fish against the grain of fishing 4 mils or paste. I just went down what I feel was right for the depth of water, which was about 5 foot, and that was 6 mil hard pellets. My margins, I didn't feel like they play a massive part. I'm looking around the lake, nobody was absolutely empty in the margins, so I didn't want to waste too much time there, but by feeding it later, we definitely had a nice little run there to finish off as well, and we got one right at depth as well. So overall, you know, fantastic day. £247 we've weighed, which was enough to win the match. Carl Jones had 185 for second, so absolutely made up with that. Bells Mill Fishery in Kidderminster. If you've never been, honest to God, get yourselves down here. Been a bit bad for the weather, but the fishing's been fantastic. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something as well.